Welcome back to Marvel Maniac, an MCU after show. This is Eric Cicada, your host, aka Mr. Honest. Now, there are some episodes of television that go down in history as monumental. In my opinion, this is one of them. Loki. I'm laughing because it's taken me so long to get to this recording process. I had technical difficulties and it was the simplest problem, and I was so ready to come in here with so much energy. And 30 minutes later, I had that kind of first line prepared, and it's silly. This episode was so good. But it's hilarious that I was ready to jump into this. Here we go. Loki, episode 5, Journey into the Mystery, was one of the greatest episodes of not only superhero television. Let me go back. Loki, episode 5, Journey into the Mystery, was one of the greatest stories on cinema I've come to enjoy. I love the name because we didn't know we were going into it all. Similar to the finale, going into this finale. What a ride! What a ride this show has been. What a ride this show is on, continuing to be. And I'm really continuing to enjoy it with you, Marvel Maniacs. It is a pleasure to have you here again today. I hope you've had a great week. It is a special week. Why? Because Black Widow comes out literally this week, and we are doing 2 episodes. I'm going to be seeing Black Widow. I am in Illinois, so I'm Central Time Zone. I'm going to be seeing it 9 p.m. Thursday, so technically the day before it goes, technically a midnight release. I'm going to be doing my best to do my episode at a leisurely pace. I want to get my thoughts out the right way. I'm going to do what I can to get the Disney Plus version of it to watch again. But if I have a genuine take on it that night after seeing the movie, I might just come and lay some thoughts down and then do my best to go see it again. Maybe, but I'm gonna go see the movie, and that's what I started this podcast for. I'm a fan of the movies. I figured instead of going, I did say I was going to get it on Disney Plus, break it down that way, but I love going to see the Marvel movies in the theaters, and this is the first movie of Marvel to come back in 2 years since Spider-Man Far From Home, and it is honestly gonna be amazing to go back into the theater to see a Marvel movie and sit in the chair and watch Black Widow kick some ass. Come on, I have to go. I have to go. And if that doesn't mean I'm going to be able to sit at the computer and take notes the same way, I'm going to come back to the computer and just rave about it. I know I am. I'm going to come back here and just rave about it. Unless it sucks. Which, we'll see. We'll see. We will see. Marvel's been doing a pretty great job so far. So let's get into Loki, episode 5. We'll get into Black Widow later this week. This is a double feature Marvel Maniac extravaganza. We have so much to process after this week's episode of Loki, though, so we got to start talking about it. So the opening shot is this revolving upside down shot of the doorway of the TVA going in to the elevator, to the room of the timekeepers, in which we saw the last final battle go down, where Sylvie cut off the head of the fake timekeeper, and we saw Loki got disintegrated, and all literal hell broke loose at the foothold of the timekeepers in a very Duel of Fate-esque battle. It was insane. So we literally see the head of the guy on the floor. That cuts into a fade, straight into the guy's face, and then we move into a city. And now we're flying into the city, and it looks straight up like New York City. I almost want to say it's New York City, but it could be really any generic city. And this place is destroyed. It's desolate. It's defeated. There is no hope here, and there's nothing. It's obliterated. it's obliterated. This place is destroyed. It's demolished. Everything about this place screams hell. There's a big giant cloud in the background, which we soon to learn is like alive. Loki wakes up and he asks, "What is this place? Where are we? Who are you?" And the older Loki says, "This is the void. That's Goliath. Come on, let's go." And he moves us along. It's at the very beginning of this episode. I'm like, okay, this is a little bit of a play. Like, he's like, "Where's lunch? Let's go." And it's like, okay. And they move, and it's like, okay, there's a big monster in the background. This is kind of cool, but also this is happening really fast. I wasn't even like upset though. I was excited. Like, this is, of course we want things to move at a quick pace. Oh, dude, I get the chills. Just thinking about this whole thing through. The way these characters are introduced, set up, and brought down in this whole episode. This episode's a freaking movie, man. And there's, I don't know if I would say reveals, but there's a lot of moments between characters, like Mobius and Loki, and Sylvie and Loki. I mean, which Loki, by the way, right? There's so many Lokis. Mobius had a line about Loki. There was a Loki line Mobius delivered, and I'll get to it, that had me rewinding, laughing so hard. Extremely hard. Anyway, after the title sequence, Loki, are very the music, by the way. The music in the show. I mean, how often can I express how good the music in the show is? I just love that title sequence. It's so fast and gets you right into it. So we get right back into it, though, with Sylvie and Ravana. And Sylvie is interrogating Ravana, and Ravana gives Sylvie her temp pad right away when Sylvie demands it, and Sylvie's trying to get right to it, asking her who has been behind the TVA this whole time. And she's asking her, how does it feel to be on the other side of it? And Sylvie, man, she's ruthless. But she kind of is justified here. I mean, we kind of seen what she's been through, right? I've been thinking about it all week. I don't know about any of you. I've just been speculating and thinking, and I've been seeing theories online. I don't know if any of you have just a ton of YouTube video suggestions of Marvel-related theories, like new rock stars and Screen Rant and similar things, where I'll just kind of have them running in the background when I'm doing things in my house. So I don't want to discredit any theories or take credit for any said theories. So I will say that this was floating around that I believe I heard one that Sylvie's Nexus event had to do with her just playing with the toys and wanting to be of the Valkyrie. I had to pause my recording to think of the name of it for a second. I literally didn't want to have to look it up because I knew what it was. The Valkyrie. She wanted to be a Valkyrie, it seemed. And maybe, just maybe, that she had the ability to become Thor. But, I really kind of like where they went with it in this episode. Even more so, she's more Loki than ever, and so is Loki. Holy cannoli, Mother Almighty, was the ending of this episode powerful. What about that ending? I mean, can we just talk about that for a second? That there's just that older Loki, his story kind of fulfills fans' theories about what that happened. Loki, there's a version of Loki that didn't die in Infinity War, right? So a lot of people suspected, for those who are questioning. I mean, I'm jumping around the place here. It's just bound to happen, man. Okay, this is the last thing. I gotta backtrack a little bit here. Okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna jump to, because I don't even know where I left off. First off, I'm gonna finish the point. I was gonna say maybe Sylvie's moment, Nexus event, was she could have been the Thor of her timeline. That's why they showed up at that moment. And then this thing is old man Loki. He literally didn't die from Thanos in that exact moment. It was perceived the same way to us in Infinity War. Like the literal way we saw it, he died. He floated off into space with the debris. Thor screamed. Infinity War happened the way it happened. Endgame happened the way it happened. He grew old in space and became that Loki. That's sick, dude. Like, you can imagine whatever Avengers like timeline that like Loki, whatever Loki you want to imagine. You know what? That's not true. We know for sure the Loki from this Avengers. Never mind. I'm going off the rail here. This show gets you thinking a little bit. I'm kind of like that gif of Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia right now. Like he's got all those papers up on the wall. It's like the time travel gets you just insane. You know what I mean? you really you go through loops thinking about this stuff. Which is why I'm going to just start going through the episode beat by beat, and we can stick a little more to it. So Sylvie really is interrogating Ravonna, asking her how it feels to be on the other side. And she's saying, this is the place you brought me as a kid. So she says maybe it'd be a good place to take her life. And then she says, well, what if I told you Loki wasn't dead? And she says, I think you'd be lying. And Ravonna says, maybe we want the same thing. Sylvie asks why Ravonna's telling her this. And Ravonna says because she wants to know who's lying to her and who is really behind the TVA as well. She tells Sylvie that when they prune branch reality, it's impossible to destroy everything from it. So, basically, they move it to a place on the timeline where it won't continue growing, she says. Basically, the branched timeline isn't reset, it's transferred to avoid the end of the timeline, where every instance of existence collides at the same point and simply stops. The way she delivers this line, she's so convinced herself. The timekeepers are transforming the end of time into a utopia, and Sylvie says that's super believable. And Ravonna says that nothing ever comes back from there, and she tells Sylvie to trust her. I can help you, but you have to trust me. And Sylvie gives her this look, this weary look, and she gives her the temp pad, just the temp pad. And then we come back to the land of the void, and then we see a pirate ship, and then we see a spaceship, like a classic-looking outer spaceship. And all of a sudden, the theories thrown around the internet that this was like an alternate universe Battle of New York Lost, like Avengers, like lost the Battle of New York, Stark Tower, like I don't know. That all of a sudden, this is just a void in the universe where things fall. Kind of. I don't know. Look, things are falling just out of the sky at all times. If you kind of look back at the shots in this frame by frame, things are falling out of the sky at all times, just dumping into this place. It's insane, dude. This episode is insane and filled with Easter eggs. I've caught a couple. I've caught a few. There will be plenty more, I'm sure, throughout the years and throughout the weeks to come. So this episode's got a very Wizard of Oz feel to it. It's got a no place like home feel to it. Loki being the Dorothy, and the other three Lokis being the Tin Man, the Lion, and the what's the other one? Whatever. Gosh, I should know this. Lion, the Tin Man, and what am I missing here? The corn, the Scarecrow. Okay. Good gosh, I'm a Marvel fan. I should know my Wizard of Oz, though. Okay, I'm not going to draw these parallels anymore, but this is a great, great story. And Loki just really wants to know what's going on here. He wants to take a breather. He's got 1,000 questions. So do I. Everyone, the other Lokis just said, we got to keep moving. Dude, you're Lokis. We got to have a plan, right? What's our plan? And like, they don't want to die. Don't die. That's our plan. Don't die. If you're Lokis, you should always have a plan, though. I love this. I just love the interaction between the Lokis. I love the Lokis. Loki eventually gets all the other Lokis to stop, and he says it's been a very trying past few days. He doesn't, or months. He doesn't even know how long it's been since New York, and he's here surrounded by variants of himself plus an alligator, which he didn't even find that strange at first. That's so funny, dude. And now we're running from a God knows what to God knows where. And I need to be finding my way back to the TVA. And then all of a sudden, Kid Loki pulls his sword out on grown-up Loki, our Loki. And he says, stop wailing, or you'll signal Goliath. And Loki asks what that is, and they mean the big monster in the sky. It's got a name. It's alive. And we learn the antagonist of the episode. I mean, we did kind of at the beginning. So, yeah. And Goliath is the gatekeeper. It is the answer. And we will find out. I mean, they set up so much by having we want to know so bad what's up there. I cannot imagine what is behind that gate. It's a living tempest that consumes everything, energy. They send an entire branch of realities here, and they are devoured by it. We're in a shark tank, and Goliath's the shark, says the older Loki. And then they cut to the alligator, and he just growls like he's just part of the discussion. Like they're cutting between all the Lokis, you know what I mean? Like every Loki has a say, right? Like the kid has a part in the convo. The big bulk Hulk, the Thor Loki has a part. Older Loki, and then the kid, and then like the alligator's like, nah. He's got a take. Dude, this is just genius, dude. And like you know what the best part is the older Loki understands him. Like he growls, and then he's like, there's no such thing as an alligator tank. Besides, it's a better metaphor. He's overly sensitive like the rest of us. That's what's so funny about it. He's like, that thing's a Loki too? Oh yes. Dude, okay, fine. Willing to accept that. Why are there so many of you? Because Loki survived. That's just what we do. Oh my gosh, guys. I mean, I don't know how to process this. It's just so funny and so out of this world. So how do we escape? We don't. All of us are just arrested by the TVA and pruned just like you. And just like you, we all started around making bad plans, and that went nowhere. Can we just talk about old man Loki? How amazing this man was, this actor. Richard E. Grant. He's in a lot of things. You probably have seen him in a million things. Phenomenal as old man Loki. Show stealer. So Loki just suggests that we could use the tempad to get out, and they all laugh at him because he's like, oh, you mean like the one thing to get us out of here? Oh, they're all over the place, right, guys? And they all start laughing. And even the cuts to the alligator. Like, he's laughing too. He's like, rah, 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 rah. It's like probably my favorite running gag of the episode. I don't know. I think it's just too much. Fine. What about causing a Nexus event? The TVA doesn't care what happens here. Surely there's something to do. Survive. That's all there is. That's all there ever was. We're done talking. Let's go. That's what Kid Loki says. Just do what you want. And they start following him. And Loki just looks around, and he kind of takes the place in a little bit. And he starts following them. And they don't really listen, because he says, why do you wear the horns? You let a child command you? And the older Loki says, you do well to respect the boy. This is his kingdom. And he says, what was your Nexus event, your majesty? And he says, I killed Thor. Damn. And you know what? All of the Lokis just follow him, even Thor, like the Thor looking Loki, like looks at Loki, just follows him. Dude, This kid is so cool, man. Kid Loki. Every Loki here is like showing Loki how cool Loki can be. And this makes our Loki, it gives him potential as a hero. Not that Loki killed Thor, though. And then, like, they're going to their secret hideout, right? And we see, like, a Mjolnir in the ground. And then we see really quickly, like, a little Thor in a jar. Like, you gotta rewind it, guys. Like, this is insane. There's a little, like, poor little Thor living in a purgatory in this little tiny jar. In this little, like, in the ground here. He's just in there forever. There's a label on the jar. It says T365. There is a comic involving a frog. I looked up. I couldn't find too much else, and I didn't have too much patience to read what that was about. Anyone else looking into that, email marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. Let me know what you think, or if you find something else about this little Thor in the jar. What did you find? I'm sure the internet will explode about it by the time this has come out. So they get down to the other Loki, like the other Lokis take Loki down to the lair, and they ask him. It's going to be hard. Like, I just realized how hard it is telling you which Loki says what to Loki, our Loki. So old man Loki asks, "Why do you want to get back to the TVA so badly?" And to fulfill your glorious purpose, and he says something like that. And as he's looking at the throne of young Loki, and it's very, very kid-like. And I think he's just taking in how similar, like, all the Lokis are. Like, every Loki wanted a kingdom, every Loki wants a throne. Renslayer is asking Miss Minutes to get these restricted files in front of Sylvie, and Sylvie's just very suspiciously watching Ravonna do this. Ravonna Renslayer, by the way, that's her full name. I referred to her as that by her last name because I feel like she's going by the evil persona. She fills Sylvie in on kind of what's going on with the Void via Miss Minutes. Like, Miss Minutes tells her about the Void, but then, like, this Minutes, like, pulls a con on Sylvie with this, like, spacecraft designed to take them to the end of time. And, like, this is where this goes south between Sylvie and Ravonna. Miss Minutes, where are these files on the Timecraft, she asks, and she says, still looking for them. So, like, Miss Minutes is, like, just taking her time while the guards get here. Miss Minutes, you're so smooth, aren't you? But Sylvie's kind of got it figured out at this point. She's just getting what she can out of Ravonna. And the guards bust into the room. Sylvie makes a break for it behind the judge's quarters, and she's hiding behind there. And Sylvie's asking, we know where you hide. You're not going to run. Sooner or later, we're going to catch you. You're basically at the end of all the apocalypses. She says, it must be so exhausting. I'll admit, you had me fooled there for a second. Sylvie is so badass, isn't she? She's crouched behind the judge's panel. Did Judge Renslayer really feel betrayed by her beloved TVA? And Renslayer does look scared. Why did you come back and talk? We could talk about it. Just tell everyone else to piss off and we could settle this between us. And then Ravonna says, works for me. And then she, like, cues both the guards to move, all the guards to move forward, ungracefully. So she's just a backstabber, this lady. You can live out your days in a good memory in a time loop if you come out and surrender now. That's what she says. Do you even have any good memories? Just one, really. That's what she says. And I wonder what that memory is. Is that Loki? Or is that her as a kid playing with the toys? Well, that's probably a bad one because it was ruined. And then she brings the stick out and stabs herself with it in front of all of the people. Ravonna looks a little uneasy. And then, like, the guard says, she's self-pruned. And she's like, that's good. Then she's dead too. But doesn't Ravonna, she has the temp pad, right? So then we come back to Loki, Lokis, and the older one's feeding the crocodile wine, and the Thor Loki, he says, after I vanquished Captain America and Iron Man, I claimed my prize, all 6 Infinity Stones. And the crocodile's like, and then he says, that's alligator for growling for saying liar. And then he says, at least my Nexus event wasn't eating a neighbor's cat. And then the alligator and the big Loki go at it for a second. And then we get the kid Loki asks old Loki, tell us about your Nexus event. What's happening? And he says, well, I've been wondering too. We're supposed to die, right? Thanos kills us after Ragnarok. Thanos? In my timeline, everything proceeded correctly my entire life until Thanos attacked our ship. So you didn't try to stab him? Certainly not. Take no offense, my friends, but blades are worthless in the face of Loki's sorcery. And then the big guy says, but blades look cool. And then he says, especially when they clatter to the ground just before your neck is snapped. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. No pun intended. Older Loki is so cool. I cast a projection of myself so real, even the Mad Titan believed it. I love this so much. Then he hid as inanimate debris. After I faked my death, I simply drifted in space, away from Thor, away from everything. Thought about the universe and my place in it, and it occurred to me that everywhere I went, only pain followed. So I removed myself from the equation. I landed on a remote planet and stayed there in isolation and solitude for a long, long time. It's sad to think that. And, if you really think about this, what would have happened if they didn't have the Tesseract up with them? If Loki didn't take it from Ragnarok? Would Thanos have desolated them? Probably, yeah. But he blamed himself for it here, this Loki. He blamed himself for it. I think, seriously, it sounds like he did. It's sad. He takes a big drink from his glass. It's so sad. And he said, how did the TVA find you? He says he got lonely. And he says, to tell you the truth, I miss my brother. And I wondered if he missed me, if anyone else did. But as soon as I took my first steps to getting off the planet, the TVA arrived. Because we, my friends, have but one part to play. The God of Outcasts. Nothing more. That is just so sad. And all the Lokis take a drink, and then he cheers as the God of Outcast. And even the little Loki is drinking a juice box. Oh. And our Loki puts his drink down, and he says, I'm going. And they ask, where? And he says, out of this place, out of the void, back to the TVA. He says we're as good at escaping as we are at surviving, and that gives us a decent chance. And older Loki says it doesn't matter, we'll be murdered. And he says that was my destiny to begin with. Why? I'm not mad. I'm the same, really, the same as you. Have we met a woman? Have you met any of you met a woman variant of us? And he says, sounds terrifying, but that's what I like about her. She's different. She's not trying to take over the TVA. She's trying to take it down, and she needs me. And now you said Goliath is what keeps us here. And the kid shakes his head. You said it's a living thing. You said it's a shark. Well, if it lives, it dies. And I'm going to kill the shark. I'm going to kill Goliath. And if I could use the help, all the help I can get. And all the Lokis look and laugh at each other. Because, this is just the craziest thing they've ever heard of. This thing is huge. This monster, it's basically like the final boss in any Endgame movie. This is a TV show episode. They're basically dude, this is a TV show episode. You're not going to fight this thing in this episode. This is a Thor level boss. You're Loki. We're Lokis, man. Loki goes to open up a hatch and leave, and then he's greeted by President Loki, the Loki of our cover title, which I predicted to be a much bigger part of the show by putting him on the cover. I was wrong, and that's okay. I don't mind it. I am happy with choosing him as our cover. He was a good decoy, wasn't he? Me not realizing ever that all the people with him were also Lokis. I thought they were just goons. He says, "Hello, which one of us are you?" And our Loki says, "This is a nightmare." Then we get Sylvie waking up in the pit. I called it the pit, but it's the void. Sylvie wakes up in the void, but it's like, it looks like a pit that she wakes up in. Basically a pit in the void. Lightning is all splashing up all around her. She's trying to get her bearings, and she kicks out a bus window. She's in a bus, very mossy covered landscape. She walks out. I think there's like a version of the Golden Gate Bridge like in the distance behind her. Then the smoke lands on her and fills the bus. She's basically completely connected with Eliath, and then she makes a connection with her. You see the connection she makes with it instantly. She puts her green magic up in the air, and then we see like a kingdom. Like it almost looks like she sees right through it. I mean, I went back and looked. It's like a stone brick wall. It's insane. So she sprints away through it, and she sees like a little pizza car. And she starts running towards the pizza car. And it's her only hope. And I don't know. I, for some reason, didn't know who it was going to be. I'm like, is it going to be another Loki? Like a fat Loki? A pizza delivery man Loki? It's Mobius! Go figure, right? What happened to all the other variants that get shoved in here, though? Like, is there any Iron Man variants in here? Or maybe no Iron Man variants exist? Only Iron Man, like, sticks to this timeline. Like, mostly, like, the good guys stick to the timeline. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But, yeah. Sylvie and Mobius are together, and they're running past a version of Egyptian landmarks, like huge landmarks. So now there's a showdown about to go down between President Loki and our Lokis. It's like there's so much Loki happening, and this Loki, by the way, I mean, come on, this guy's bad. This one's got it going on. He's got the stance. He's got the confidence. He's got it all. But what the heck, man? Loki with the hammer just betrays Kid Loki instantly. And then he says, dude, like there's a betrayal upon a betrayal. One Loki betrays another Loki. And he says, I gave you a location in exchange for food and supplies, and you give me your army, and I take the throne. And then he says, but not so good on your bargain. How about that? My army, my throne. And then how about this one? And then how about that? Like all the other guys like switch. And he's like, what? You beef-witted, half-faced fools. Like, dude, like everyone turns on each other because they're all Lokis, man. You can't trust a Loki. And then the freaking alligator jumps on him, and everything all hell breaks loose. Also, he loses his hand. President Loki loses his hand. Everything goes crazy, guys. Like insane. Lokis get thrown across the room. Thor Loki starts smashing people with his hammer. There's every kind of Loki you can imagine in here, except for that Hulk Loki. He didn't make it to the party. One Loki gets smashed into a popcorn machine. Thor Loki gets booped around. Okay, so Old Man Loki conjures projections of all of them, at least our Loki, Crocodile, or Alligator Loki, and Kid Loki fighting, and then he makes a portal for them to leave. Man, he's got some superpowers here. This Loki's got... We get one last shot of the crazy battle. I mean, there's so much happening in that battle. They're all screaming, like some guys are screaming, just glorious purpose. And you know what? I love it. I love that they lean into it. And poor Old Man Loki, poor guy. As he's coming out of his portal that he created, he says, damn it, animals. We lie and we cheat. We cut the throats of every person who trusts us. And for what? Glorious purpose. Oh my gosh, we cannot change. We're broken, every version of us forever. It's just so sad. And whenever one of us dares to try and fix themselves, they're sent here to die. The kid says, that's why I need to get out of here. Our Loki says, nothing can change until the TVA is stopped. And you trust her? She's the only one I do trust, he says. And right now, I believe she's our only chance of stopping the TVA. And the kid says, that's good enough for me. Okay, we'll help you. I freaking love old Loki. Approaching Aliath is a death sentence. Eliath is a death sentence. He says, we'll get you to it, but that's as far as we'll go. Then we get a good shot of Eliath from the perspective of the rearview mirror of Sylvie and Mobius. He's telling her that he really believed that he was the good guys, and she tells like a lying, annihilating orphan girls. Yeah, classic hero stuff. He says, well, I guess you think your ends justify your means. There's not much you won't do. By the way, you did some annihilating too. She says, I did what I had to. And he says, so did I. She says, you hunted me like a dog. He says, I'm sorry about that. You know, I like this scene a lot. I proved myself. I thought I might be able to find Loki. The storm, that thing, it's likely already got him. You believe that? Mobius says. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters now is getting out of here, she says, then finding out who's behind all of this. And Mobius asks her how to do that, and she says, we turn around. What? Go back to the angry cloud? Yeah, I think it might be the answer. Okay, we're going back to it. And then Mobius like hesitantly turns right back around his little pizza mobile. Mobius, I bet he wants some pizza right now. Then we see more things fall through the sky. We cut back to classic Loki. I have to say it feels odd walking around a gargantuan creature. Do you have a plan of action? Inside, find its heart or brain or whatever, and then, do it in. Kid Loki. I mean, just because it's not complicated doesn't mean it's bad. It just doesn't mean it's good. the alligator growls. See, he's on board. He's praying. He thinks we're going to die, said old man Loki. Oh my gosh. And then we see another giant 173 USS Eldridge come out of a portal. So I looked up the USS Eldridge on Wikipedia. The USS Eldridge, a cannon glass destroyer escort, was a ship of the United States Navy. Named for Lieutenant Commander John Eldridge. It was used in World War II. So there's this Philadelphia experiment hoax theory. The Philadelphia experiment was a purported naval military experiment, someone around 1943, in which Eldridge was to be rendered invisible by a cloaking device to human observers for a brief period due to lack of evidence, blah, blah, blah. So there's like stuff revolving around this. I don't know why the significance of this is, but basically these are old Navy sailors, and they witnessed them getting just obliterated by Eliath, the beast in the sky. It is not a pretty sight. It is kind of like epic, but it's kind of sad too. These poor men, like, they have no idea what's going on. These guys just get destroyed, and then they fire like actual missiles at it. It is kind of insanely awesome to see, but how terrifying. That is tragic. Loki says maybe they should think a bit more about this, and then they notice on the horizon as a car is approaching them. The kid says maybe this usually means cannibalistic parasites. They watch eerily as the car approaches. He notices it's Sylvie, and he runs towards them, and older Loki nudges the younger Loki along, and they move towards Sylvie, and Mobius gets out of the car. The pizza moving wonderfully on top of the spring on top of the car. They're very excited to see each other, obviously. I'm very excited that they're together. It's a wonderful embrace. It hasn't even been that long, but it feels like a while. This has been a very long 25 minutes. So the other Lokis started to walk up, and he says, these are my friends. Well, how do I put this? Us as a child, us in the future, and us as an alligator. And Sylvie looks at him funny, and he says, Moby says, dude, I can't even just say, I can't say this right because it made me laugh so hard, and I'm not going to be able to deliver it the way it made me laugh. Sylvie looks at him so funny. It's best not the question. He says, you throw a rock around here, you hit a Loki. Like, I can't tell you how much that made me laugh, the way it was delivered, and just the way this whole scene played out. Dude, Mobius, Owen Wilson, you amazing human being. You made me laugh so hard. Loki tells Sylvie his plan to kill Alioth. Sylvie kind of reacts to that funny, and she tells Loki opposite, that she plans to enchant Alioth. Meanwhile, Ravana gives B-15 a visit. B-15 is really angry, but also confident when talking to Ravana, because Ravana tries to kind of intimidate B-15. And B-15 is just like, why am I here? And she says, you're disloyal to the TVA. And she's like, disloyal? She says, did you escape punishment? Disloyal to who? You were in the Timekeeper's chambers. They weren't real. And she says, why does that change anything? It changes everything. And basically, like, B-15, like, it was like, you want to know what this is all about too. And you're not fooling anyone here. And she stares her down and gives her the long eyes. I really like it. And then from then on, we get Ravana asking Miss Minutes to go do some digging, some real digging. She wants to know what's going on. And she says Sylvie is gonna go find out what's there, and she's going to find it. Why? Because she needs it, and Ravana only wants it. I love that so much. B-15. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love it. So, we're back into the void. This void, man, talk about this multi-planet travel in each of these episodes, man. It's insane. And alligator Loki. Mobius says, who's to say the alligator's even a variant, but that makes him even more of a Loki, which is the long game, which I respect. That's just hilarious. Assuming you get back to the TVA, what exactly are you getting yourself into? They're asking Mobius. And he's saying, I don't know. Like, he doesn't know. I like to let people know the truth, which is good. So just like that, you're tuning in to everything you devoted your life to. Well, it's never too late to change, Mobius says. This is awesome. I like Mobius and old Loki talking. I hope they know what they're doing. And then the crocodile I keep calling Al crocodile. I'm sorry. Mobius isn't bad. Sylvie tells Loki, or so good. I think that's why we get along. Loki tells her, and she says he cares about you. And he looks at her, and like he gives her a look, And I think like a lot. I saw online like there's some people shipping Mobius and Loki. I hope they're not like too upset. That I think they're kind of putting Mobius. I think they're putting Sylvie and Loki together here. I hope they're not too upset about that. There was a lot of Mobius and Loki shippers because of them finding out that he went both ways. And, it was very possible. It's interesting that they went this route. Loki conjures himself a blanket, and he didn't do it for her just at the beginning, and he says she tells him like she's not comfortable, she's never done this, she's never really had friends. I don't have anyone, she says. And he says, well, there's more important things to do, like saving the universe right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, Loki's on a mission to save the universe. That's kind of freaking awesome. And she agrees, but then he makes the blanket long enough to wrap around both of them, and that is sweet. And she looks really happy and really content and loved, which, don't you think a person who's never gotten that in their whole life kind of just deserves, no matter who it's from? Sylvie asks, how do I know that in the final moments you won't betray me? And he says, listen, I've betrayed pretty much everyone I've ever known. My father, my mother, my brother, and that's not who I am anymore. Isn't that great? Like he looks her in the eye and he tells her that, and he says I won't let you down. And she says, are you sure? And she says, because if we make it and the TVA is gone, there might be a timeline for you to rule. And he says, then I'd finally be happy. Damn. So he still wants to rule. I mean, that's funny. What about you? And she looks a little unsure. What will you do when this is all over? She looks unsure. Like, almost in that moment, she needs his assurance on, like, hearing that. Like, what do you think? I don't know either. And he says, well, maybe we could figure that out together. And she says, maybe. And that's enough. We get these little creatures, these interesting, cute little creatures. For a second, we just a cut of them. Sylvie and the Lokis stand upon a hill, and Mobius looking at Alioth, and Sylvie lays out the plan. She says, well, Mobius asks, what's the next move? And she says the TVA needs to be brought down. We don't know who created it or where they are, but that thing does. When it hit me earlier, I linked to it. It was brief, but I caught a glimpse of something. And I think if I can get close enough to it, I can enchant it. And it's going to take me to whoever's behind all of this, which we do see a glimpse of at the end of the episode. They go towards something. She gives Loki the temp pad at that moment as an option to leave. And he says he's going to stay. I mean, that was kind of the plan, right? I mean, it wouldn't it be really cool if they just, like, decided they're going to share a universe together, and then he was going to, like, just not stay with her. Loki, I don't know if this is going to work. And then she says, you go, I go. And, like, I don't know, but I do like the unity. I love the unity. He gives the temp pad to Mobius, and it's happening, you guys. The branch will be right out here, the younger Loki says. I'll give you regards. I'll give Ravana your regards, Renslayer. To Sylvie, Mobius says. And I like that. Like, Mobius and Renslayer are going to have a showdown next week. And he asks the other Lokis if they want to take it out of here. And they say no. And older Loki says, this is our home. We've survived here this long. We know what we're doing. And at that moment, young Loki takes a sword out for our older Loki, says, you're going to need this on your journey. So how powerful is that? So noble, so cool. The way Sylvie is looking at this happen, she's so proud. I just love this. I love this so fucking much. And Loki conjures himself just a sheath for his sword on his back. I like the way Loki just keeps his outfit. I hope that you find what you're looking for. Older Loki tells him, and he walks away so nobly, man. Oh, fucking love him so much. Mobius, what about this? Looks like you got away in the end, he tells Loki. I always do. I got the chills. I'm rewatching this as I'm telling you. What will you do at the TVA? Burn it to the ground, Mobius says. That's what I want to hear. Thanks for the spark. We'll see you later, Loki. And he starts to walk away. He offers him a handshake, by the way. And Loki just looks at it, and he goes in for the hug. I mean, come on. That's a friendship. Thank you, my friend. And then he whispers to Sylvie, "You're my favorite." I mean, what a bromance. That chills. I love this show so much, and then it's hard to move on from that moment because like the relationship between Mobius and fucking Loki, they did such a good job there. Owen Wilson did such a great job as Mobius. One of my favorite actors as a kid, watching Starsky and Hutch, and I can't think of other movies right now because I'm just eating him up in this. But I've always liked Owen Wilson, and I'll just say one underrated movie: You, Me, and Dupree. Dude, that is a powerful moment. I really like that. So when the branch appears, Alioth will focus on it, she tells Loki, and that's when I'll enchant it. They're walking in this huge field towards this thing. Huge field. And this smoke monster's billowing towards them instantly. And they're just walking towards it. Loki just keeps his outfit, by the way. He can conjure a new one, but he likes the suit and tie. And older Loki and younger Loki are walking on a cliff above, and seeing the clouds come up. And I don't know. I don't know when older Loki decides to Gandalf this shit and come back and save the day, but at one point he just turns around and it just saves everything within minutes. So Loki and Sylvie stand up to this monster, and Loki backs away, kinda he just walks around to Sylvie's other side and stands firmly with her, but slightly behind her, but he stands bold with her. He says, what if we don't have time to get a branch? She says, we'll have to cause a distraction. And this is when he realizes what he must actually do. There's time. I need a distraction right now. We need one at this second. And he nods at her, and she looks at him, and he just starts gunning it. Left hand sprint. And the monster kind of looks, and he's just going. Left hand sprint. And he pulls out his sword, lights it on fire. He aims it at it. He says, come and get me. I thought it'd be green flames, but you know what? Regular flames are cool too. He's got a flame sword, dude. Good enough for me, all right. Meanwhile, Sylvie is conjuring her green magic, and she's doing her best to get the enchantment going. She's doing everything she can. And Loki diminishes his flame sword and starts running towards her because he sees that the beast is billowing towards her instead of him. And what can there be done to stop this? Well, nothing but the city of Asgard itself, conjured by old man Loki. Why am I calling him old man? He's the most strongest Loki there ever was. You've never seen anything conjured like this before. This is the most epic, historic, coolest Loki thing I've ever seen, you will ever see. I'm chilling. And she's saying, how is he doing that? And then he says, I think we're stronger than we realize, Loki says. Oh my gosh. Look, dude. And and he pulls up all of Asgard. Loki, old man Loki, he says, go! Dude, we see Asgard. We see people on the bridges. We see it, man. Asgard is real. It's thriving, man. I mean, this is huge. All of these are potentials. If Loki makes it out of this series, to go back to our main MCU timeline, he's going to be jacked. He's gaining these powers. He's coming back with these powers. So Goliath starts devouring Ragnarok style the city of Asgard, the fake city of Asgard, which our old man Loki, our dude, he starts just pushing his power through it and keeping the city up as long as he can, while Sylvie and Loki could grab a few strands of him to enchant him. He says, I can't enchant, and she says, yes, you can, because we're both the same. Old man Loki can't keep Asgard up very long, and once it's completely devoured, he gets weak, and he holds it as long as he can, and once the creature Elias starts to come towards him, he starts to laugh madly, and he screams glorious purpose, and the creature takes everything but his helmet, and wow. What a performance, man. Amazing. As Goliath is approaching Loki and Sylvie, they're enchanting it, and just in time, just as it's getting to them, green flows through the air. Loki closes his eyes. Sylvie opens hers. Hers are wide open. She tells him to open his. Green's just covering their entire faces. And lying before them, opens up billowing smoke. But beyond the smoke, we see a giant castle. And it seems semi-futuristic. We really don't get to see a whole lot of it. It's left up to our mystery, as in the episode's title, Journey into the Mystery. We don't know what the heck we're getting into next week for the finale. It's left to our curiosity. And I don't want any spoilers. And if I see any spoilers online, I will lose my mind. Because I almost want to say it's my favorite of every single Marvel episode to date, but I don't want to prematurely say that because I've really enjoyed WandaVision, and man, but this one is surely in the running. It surely is in the running for best Marvel episode yet for Marvel Maniac. I really had a great time, and I hope you did too. Thank you so much for being here. We are on social medias. Let us know what you thought about the episode at Marvel Maniac Pod on Twitter, marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. If you'd like to donate to the show, the best place to do that right now would be mrhonestpodcast@gmail.com at PayPal. Everything goes right back into the show. All donations are never expected, but completely appreciated. We always love having you here at Marvel Maniac. Now remember, Black Widow comes out this Friday, July 9th, 2021. I'm going to be catching it on July 8th, and I'll be putting my episode up ASAP. I want my episode to be good, so it may come out on July 9th or as soon as possible after release. I'm going to try and get my review to be as good as possible, so I wanted to be happy with it. And I hope you enjoy Black Widow, and I hope you have a wonderful week. This is a great week and a great time to be a Marvel fan and a Marvel maniac. If you enjoy the show, please rate it, review it. It will go a long way. That's the best thing you could do for it. And share it with another Marvel fan. I'll see you in a couple days for Black Widow, and then next week for the season or series. We'll see where things go. Maybe season, maybe series finale. Who knows? Who knows where? Maybe we'll get a Loki movie at some point. God knows. Maybe he'll be in Thor: God of Thunder. We will see. Anyways, we're gonna be here at Marvel Maniac. Avengers Disassemble.